Good morning, guys. If I sound a little tired, it's because I am. I'm running late even by my standards. I've got some low blood count issues. And I'm still trying to do the farm chores in the morning. And I'm cold. So, anywho, I've got a lot going on. But one of the bigger developments is that I've got a better understanding. I still don't know why, but I've got a better understanding of why I got disfellowshipped. You'll notice in my first video, I don't know why, and it makes more sense now, but it's no less screwed up. So let's start there. It's no less screwed up. So my dad started stonewalling me. It's basically aggressive shunning with the intent to manipulate or control a situation. And in the process of that, some memories that were in a shallow grave decided to unearth themselves like the little creepy zombies that they are. And I'm kind of, there's a whole lot of, is this real life right now? And a whole lot of, maybe I didn't understand that I was a little better off. Maybe I'm mourning the loss of who I thought my dad was. Because, things are not what they seem. There was always that underlying motive of control. So, we'll start back at the beginning. I was your typical depressed teenager. I was conforming to whoever I happened to be with, trying to fit in like every other teenager, and acting stupid and making idiotic decisions like every other teenager. And being, I wouldn't say outrightly defiant, but you know how you get into conversations and teenagers just don't know when to back out because they want to be involved? That was me. So this was in the world before MySpace was a thing. And MySpace was the predecessor to Facebook for the youngins out there. And this was still when text messaging was expensive, like you paid per message or some sort of mess like that. So the mean mode of communication was by email. Sorry, I had to think of the word. And this is laying the groundwork. Now, when my dad started stonewalling me, he'd made it very clear, very, very clear, that this is all my fault. Some other people could have made different decisions, but it's all my decisions and my actions and my behavior that put me where I am. And I sent him a list because we've been kind of going at it by text for like a couple weeks at that point. And I sent him my list of apologies. I also set up some boundaries in writing. And I explained to him that I expect apologies too. Apparently that is unacceptable. This is all me. This is my fault. I did this, and No, it doesn't have to be this way, but I did it. So I'm sure he won't mind me sharing my story, because it's all my fault. Just remember, he has nothing to apologize for, and this is all my fault. So, let's get down to it. They have a convention where they talk about the head of the household needing to know what's going on in their household because they're liable. Apparently, that's license for my parents to hack my email, like their 18-year-old daughter's email, a legal adult, and just be creepers. They approached me the next morning. We were getting ready for the meeting. And, I was all excited telling my mom about how the people in the Spanish congregation, I've taken 4 years of Spanish, and I understood enough to benefit from the meetings, but I couldn't carry on a lot of conversations. So, I was going to the Spanish meeting and also the English meetings sometimes, or vice versa. But yeah, I was excited. They were going to teach me how to dance. They were lively. They were fun. They were happy. I was excited because, I'm finally feeling like I can enjoy this life that was expected of me, and I can do what I'm supposed to do, what I was raised my entire life being told I was supposed to be. And, I finally found a congregation that was alive. Like, they enjoy time. I was at a meeting one time and they were talking about how you had to, make life enjoyable for kids. It can't be all, like, everything can be centered around Jehovah, but you can't have everything centered around study. Like, go out in a canoe and sing kingdom songs and paddle to the, whatever. Just do something fun. And I'm like, this is where I want to be. This is great. And I'm telling my mom how excited I am about this. And she is so stuffy and angry that morning and being passive aggressive because that's what she's good at. And we've kind of mended our relationship at this point. So I'm talking in past tense. And my dad tells me that I need to go talk to the elders. And I'm not understanding why. I found out that they had hacked my email, and I don't know what I needed to go confess to the elders, but I needed to go confess to the elders. So after the meeting I did. I still don't remember what for. I can't ask my dad and have him tell me what I was supposed to tell them that I did, because he doesn't even know at this point. This is like 15 years ago. Sorry about the sun, guys. And I don't even go back to talk to two elders. I walk into the back room, and immediately after I tell him I've got to talk, it's 3 people. And this is where my dad said it was probably like a 3-strike rule. And I'm like, Dad, those other 2 strikes you were telling me about were before I got baptized. Hold on, I'm stealing my breath. Maybe I should turn on my heat. They were before I got baptized. Because my dad couldn't get stubborn me under control. So, of course, what's a parent to do but go to the religious authorities? Because we don't come with instruction manuals. But, yeah, I walk into the room and it starts out with 3 elders. And I'm confessing to things like, I don't know. They're reading off scripture where the righteous won't inherit the earth, and, God's already made the decision in heaven, and they're just there to decide what that decision, or figure out what that decision is. So basically, it's all on them to determine if I get destroyed in Armageddon or not, which to me is just so bizarre now. And my dad is sitting in on these conversations, and they're just making me feel like I'm worse than a smear of shit on the bottom of your shoe. We have a farm, I know some ish, and it stinks and it's gross, and there's all kinds of forms. I am worse than the sludge that sticks to the bottom of your shoe. And apparently I'm not saying enough, because my dad excuses himself, goes out to the car, and comes back with a stack of papers. Now, mind you, currently, the last thing that my dad told me I got disfellowshipped for was smoking. I said, Dad, it can't be smoking. You're lying to me. Just tell me the truth. Because if it were smoking, it would take 1 or 2 printed emails. You know what he did? He came back in with a stack of emails that thick. Now, Jehovah's Witnesses. They're buying the cheap paper. Because they have better things to spend their money on and work for. That's a lot of freaking paper. So I'm sitting there in this Judicial Committee. And these dudes are divvying up every written conversation I had in the land before text messaging, or when text messaging was expensive, and before MySpace, and, chat rooms were really only starting. So this was legit almost every written conversation I ever had. Every idiot conversation that I didn't back out of, or crazy conversation that a teenager has with their friends, all of it printed out this thick, divvied up in front of me like homework for a bunch of old men in the back of a moldy kingdom hall to scrutinize and pass judgment on. You want to talk about a major boundary violation? That is a major freaking boundary violation. On the level of outrageous. I've told 2 of my mental health professionals about this since I really recall it, and they're like, that's illegal. Yeah. Who does that? Yeah. And who takes their kid to a religious authority as a parenting method? Yeah. So here we are, and now I'm talking about these crazy conversations, and now I'm confessing to stupid stuff like talking a big game with my friends, and shaking your butt to a song, or the Red Eyes in a Nickelback song. Stupid stuff. Stupid. And they close the meeting so that they can all read their homework. And depressed me, who was already feeling like, would welcome a train out of nowhere. Not that I felt like I wanted to do something, but I would welcome a train out of nowhere. I'm thinking that, the wages sin pays is death. Mind you, what have I done? The wages sin pays is death. I am a terrible, terrible person who does not deserve to live. What have I done to believe this? And, naive, sheltered little old me thinks that the 7 sleep aids that I have left over in the pack, because I had a few days of night work and a few days of day work, like early morning work. Sometimes I had to sleep when I had to sleep. So I had over-the-counter sleep aids. I took all of them. It was only 7. I thought it would do something. Just like I told them that less than 2 cigarettes a week was, a slow method of suicide. I was so naive, I thought it would work. So I woke up the next day. And I'm wondering how I'm waking up the next day. And that's really the only... I wasn't happy it didn't work. Apparently I slept in the same position all night because I basically had to peel myself off of the blankets. And that hurt. I had also burned my arm. I felt so disconnected and numb. I thought, maybe I'll feel something if I do this. Now I know that in a psychological term as disassociation. I didn't know what that was then. I was a kid. I was 18, but I burned a lightning bolt into my arm. For the simple reason that it didn't hurt. And I wanted to see if it would. A lightning bolt, about that big. I wasn't done yet. My dad had told me that, maybe I should write everything out and get things into Word, because I was kind of stone-faced at that age. Nothing outwardly fazed me. Nothing outwardly fazed me. I wasn't even somebody who would say, ouch. My dad put a welt on my backside. The last beating I ever got was a welt on my backside where you can literally see the oak leaf and the vein print on my butt. And I refused to cry. So he told me maybe I should write things out. So I did. I told them that, they do what they need to do. I don't deserve any of this. I'm leaving. I left a note outside the Kingdom Hall before the next meeting was supposed to convene, and I knew my family would expect me to head south where the rest of my family was and I considered home, so I went north. I didn't get very far because, they're timely people and I'm not. So my showing up early to drop off the note didn't really give me much lead time. And my dad convinced me to come back. They talked more about how I'm such a terrible person. They read scripture at me. They asked me stuff like, what happens when you smoke pot? And I'm expecting that, they've already basically made clear to me that they expect an answer. They expect an answer. And I don't know how to answer these questions because I'm just talking a big game as a teenager in those freaking emails. And I'm like, I don't know. It makes your heart slow down and you get tired. Wrong. Okay, but it doesn't matter. This dude was straight up, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I knew the answer to that question, but they made you answer the question. I didn't know what the answer was, but they made you answer the question. So I answered it and I was wrong, and I was still wrong. The fact that I got the question wrong, but these guys just needed a reason to condemn me, basically. It didn't matter that I got it wrong, that I didn't know what pot does to you. So they saw the burn. The Marine veteran that was on my committee asked me about my burn. He was the only one that suggested mental health professionals. And that is the only reason I have any respect for him, because the look that they gave him when he suggested that if looks could kill, he wouldn't be a pile of ash. He would have been totally vaporized. And I feel like since he's the one that was probably against disfellowshipping me, but they have to create a united front, they felt like maybe he should be the one to announce me. And if he volunteered for that, that's another level of respect, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. In some ways, I would respect him for sounding as quiet and as gentle as he could have, which was really weird when he made the announcement, but still. So they see the burn. Marine vet asks about it. Talk about it. Talk about the 7 over-the-counter sleeping pills I took. Talk about the fact that, I woke up in pain from not moving all night and having to peel my clothes and my blankets off of my skin. Apparently, they didn't say this part, but apparently when they kept pressing and asking more questions and making me feel like crap and interrogating me, a suicide attempt was not a cry for help. It was not a sign that they pushed this girl entirely too far and they needed to stop. It was not a desperate attempt to get out of a situation. It was none of that. It was none of that. It was absolute and irrefutable proof that I wasn't confessing to something that an 18-year-old kid who doesn't know how to back out of a conversation spoke about. And I never said I did any of these things, but I didn't back out of these conversations. Talking a big game with my friends. To them, my suicide attempt meant that I left something unsaid. I was not confessing to something, and so I needed to be disfellowshipped to protect the congregation. And they made it very clear to me that they were doing it because if I were to remain in the congregation, God's Holy Spirit would be taken from the congregation. And I would be the sole person responsible for everyone that I loved in that congregation being destroyed at Armageddon. Because that's what you do to a damaged and hurting teenager. Now, mind you, the elder that told me this, that the congregation needed to be protected from a teenage girl who apparently needed help and didn't get help for more than 10 years later because of how strongly they and the religion made them believe that it's a flaw in me, that I was the problem, and these professionals in the outside world are not to be trusted, that the congregation needed to be protected from me. That's the same elder that kept a homeschooling resource in the area for Jehovah's Witness families. A known abuser with evidence, with multiple of her foster children. There was sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, all of it going on with these poor kids. She could remain in the congregation because she knows too many people and she could sue. A known child abuser, a regional resource for the homeschooling Jehovah's Witness community. who was abusing and allowing abuse by her husband of her 4 children could stay in the congregation. But I had to be removed. Mind you, I was still told I need to attend the meetings and just act like that kicked puppy that cowers in the corner in the back row. But she could stay. Yep. So they told me I would be disfellowshipped. I don't know if I passed out or what, but everything faded into this hazy gray color. Like it wasn't even like everything was blurry. Like everything just kind of like faded out like a smoke screen, a heavy smoke screen that was so thick it was all just one solid color. And the next thing I remember, I'm walking out to the car. And my dad's out there and he's pissed off at me. And he says that I need to, I don't know who he's pissed off at, but he's pissed off. He says that I need to make an appeal and get an emergency appointment to my gynecologist to get a certificate or something that I'm innocent. What? What? You want your teenager who's terrified of anybody coming near her, who's terrified to even be like in close proximity to people, to go and have a stranger examine the forbidden, like, oh my God, this is disgusting on so many levels. Like, hacking my email and printing, like illegally hacking my email and printing my entire collection of written conversations for the scrutiny and judgment by these idiots in the back room of fucking Kingdom Hall was not enough. Now you're telling me I need to go to a gynecologist's office and be examined for a virginity test. It's disgusting. Yeah. I have no words. I still have no words. It's only dawned on me recently how disgusting any of this was. How huge a boundary violation it is. Sorry, I just need a minute. Yeah. So, to update you on what I could have gotten disfellowshipped for, was smoking 2 or 3 cigarettes at most a week, which was not even talked about for a long period of time, honestly. I'm pretty sure it had more to do with the fornication that I didn't admit to, because it wasn't even on my mind in that room because I didn't do it. It could have been the suicide attempt. I mean, nothing else would have been a major sin. Smoking wouldn't even really be a major sin. That would be one that would be like unchristian behavior. It's not on the list of fornicators and adulterers and, revilers and stuff like that. You could have been marked, which is basically everybody watches you to see if you're behaving, and when they see the improvement, yeah, it's okay to talk to you again. There's a lot of stuff I could have been marked for. Acting like an idiot teenager. Like, we're not going to talk to you if you're going to act like an idiot teenager, but if you want to act right, welcome. But they take principle and turn it into law. And there's the danger in that, because currently I'm on like 7 different medications for my mental health regimen and going to counseling. And like, I'm seeing 4 different specialists to try and manage, cardiac health and stuff like that because of anxiety and depression and shit like that. So, where Jesus said he expects mercy and not sacrifice, that didn't really, I guess, count for Jehovah's Witnesses. Turning principle into law and going beyond the things written, and, having mercy and showing love, and none of that it really counts for anything, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, that's where I am. I didn't want to be baptized in the first place. They shouldn't have baptized me knowing that they had talked to me so many times about acting like an idiot. Being a stubborn teenager, basically. They shouldn't have allowed it, but I'm starting to wonder if they allowed it just so that they had the power to try and control me. But, yeah. Major boundary violations. I never did that test. It wouldn't have counted for anything anyway. Those tests aren't real. But yeah, that's how I ended up here. Lucky me, in my experience with Jehovah's most loving organization, huh? And because I would not allow my father to continue to whitewash what they put me through. And protect the people that see me hurting and see me struggling and see me going through this level of crap and kick me when I'm down and choose to continue to kick me when I'm down, because I would not allow him to act like some people just take it too far. And I would not allow him to whitewash the behavior that the Watchtower organization has codified, the abuse that they've codified. Because I would not allow him to do that. And I expected apologies when the organization has told me that, by virtue of being disfellowshipped, I am completely at fault. And it's more convenient right now to believe them. I lose my dad, who was the only physically and mentally and that was still speaking to me. And by virtue of losing my dad, I've probably been vilified to my sister, who used to have me watch my nephew at least every couple weeks so that she could work over the weekend. So I don't get to see I've seen my nephew once, and that's because my mom had him and made sure to bring him over. Because, this kid hasn't experienced enough loss in his life at this point. Why not lose somebody else that he looks up to, right? Yep. That's where I am. And I'm trying to I will see you guys later. I figured I should give you an update because it's been a while and I've been going through a lot. And I needed to clarify a previous statement. So I'll probably go back and edit the descriptions and link these two videos together in the description. So I'll see y'all later.